Some years ago, when my husband and I combined households, in a box of his was a phonograph record from the 1940s. It was a conversation between his grandfather, John Smith, president of Pfizer, and Sir Alexander Fleming, the doctor who discovered penicillin. So we listened to it and learned that they agreed to push penicillin production to the max in time for US and British troops to use in Normandy on D-Day. Now, neither of them could have done that alone. It took their conversation to make that happen. There it was, the power of conversation to change things. So what about today's explosive interest in public speaking? Poet, plumber, physicist, fourth graders, everybody wants to give a talk. It's the perfect antidote for our concern that knowledge has become somehow more and more specialized. So we're no longer just attorneys, we're patent specialists. We're not just geologists, but like my son, paleoclimatologists. We all want to learn everything. It seems we want to be Renaissance men and women who were doctor, farmer, inventor all at once, which is why video talks with their amazing variety are so timely. But something's missing. While the speaking is public, the experiencing is often private, and we hunger for connection. For that, we need conversation, as in the Renaissance when it was raised to an art. Virtually everyone, by the age of 2, has learned to talk. But now few, even after reaching adulthood, can converse. And the disparity between those two can be the difference between a hookup and a love affair, a job interview and a career. Think of the difference between a megaphone and intercourse. A megaphone projects the speaker's words to hundreds. And with technology, super megaphone, a talk can be seen and heard by millions. But it's a talk. It's the transfer of information in a one-way process. Conversation is a two-way exchange. Now, in much of the English-speaking world, the word intercourse is used to describe and define both sexual union and conversational exchange. It makes sense, because when there's true interaction and both of you feel you are giving and receiving something of value. Makes sense. Also, as in great sexual union, great conversations offer the possibility of co-creation. Something new is introduced, born from the deep engagement of the people taking part. And each of them is changed in some way by the experience. Now, not all sex is great, nor all conversations. To get that, the parties have to enter it willing to be changed by it. That happened for Sir Alexander and John Smith. It happened to me and my then 4-year-old son, who asked one day, "Can cheetahs get sore throats?" Which led to a conversation about Africa we both remember, and I saw my role as mom in a new way. The topic can be anything. My grandmother describing the hand of fabric, how it feels on your skin, and the importance of it to dressmaking. I've not forgotten that. It's when she and I began to understand each other. Your life can be measured in the conversations you've had and the people with whom you've had them. At the heart of every milestone in your life lies a conversation that marks it, and you remember. And that chain of conversations has ultimately brought you here. Now, I believe that face-to-face conversation has become the new luxury. So why don't we have more of it? Well, some say, look, I know how to converse, but it's just faster and easier to text right now. But the fact is, when we surround ourselves with the chatter of texting, we end up craving that authentic connection. Texting is a kind of birth control preventing co-creation. So, let's get rid of that pill, and let's get conversationally promiscuous. Now, for others, we need to teach conversation and listening as it was once learned at the dinner table, before families stopped dining together. Something I'd like to correct. As my hero, Theodore Zeldin, says, to have conversations at meals requires a special kind of hunger. So, can we whet this appetite for conversation for everyone? Yes. If we're going to teach kids public speaking, let's put conversational training skills in the curriculum. And host a global Skype Pal program so that every child can find a friend somewhere else in the world and practice conversation the way kids used to send pen pal letters. Listen to podcast interviews. Some of them are great examples of co-creation. And let's make places like Starbucks real coffee houses where people gather for the great conversations that take place there. If you're waiting in line, don't be seduced by your phone. Instead, say hello to the person next to you and ask, how has your day gone so far? What you learn might just be something important to you. And don't forget, both kinds of intercourse take experimentation and practice. So, get conversationally promiscuous, talk to strangers, and welcome to your Renaissance. Thank you.